Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been ages, Sha. And today, yes, I tried to look. I feel like I've been looking like dust all this while, like I've taken it for granted. But today I dolled up, did my makeup, and said I'll record a video. As I'm recording this now, we're in quarantine. I feel like saying this out loud because I feel like yeah, these things are memories. So yes, this is day, I actually can't count what day this is because I've been indoors a while. Classes have been cancelled and whatnot, so I've been home for close to 2 weeks ish. So yeah, how's the quarantine going? What are you doing? You know, let me know. Updates me on what you've been up to. That being said, I'm not going to stay too much in the introduction. I'm just going to get right into what we're going to talk about today. Yes, today we're going to be talking about exes, breakups, moving on, rejection, everything in that bracket basically. So stick with me, okay? So let's get right into it. Right, in 2017-ish, I had what I think was the worst breakup of my life. So I haven't really been with so many people, right? Officially, I've been with, I mean, like real life had end dating. I've been in like 2.5 very serious relationships, right? Well, let's just say 3 very serious relationships. And anyways, in 2016, I had what I think was the worst breakup of my life. I'm just going to give you a little context. This person, at the time when I met this person, it wasn't just the fact that I cared about this person, I was in love with this person. There was also the supernatural aspect. At that time in my life, I believed that, you know, there was the one for you. Another problem. And if God has said this is the one for you, it has to be this one. We had a lot of supernatural, what's it called now? Supernatural, interventions for our relationship, in the sense that at the time when I was going to say yes to him, I had like visions about it. He had dreams about it. We had prophecies about it. It was so bad that sometimes we would be walking on the road and random people would stop us and say, oh, you know, God has something for this relationship. So it was that relationship. It was that relationship that I felt like God wanted me to be in. I felt like this was what I was supposed to do. This was where I was supposed to be. And, you know, I poured my heart and soul into it. And then, of course, it did not work. Imagine my shock when, you know, it broke up and it scattered me. It tore me to pieces. And I'm saying me because, I mean, it tore him to pieces as well. And there were so many reasons why it didn't work out. But that's not the point of this video. But the point of this video is how did I get through it. So it was a really hard time for me because on the one hand, I struggled with feelings of, did I hear God right? Or, I mean, did I hear God wrong? You know, I feel like this was what God had said about this. This was where I was supposed to be. And to be honest, we officially broke up in 2016, but like 2017 was a long year of on and off for us because we were struggling to hang on. And yeah, we couldn't, and he destroyed, he scattered. I'm joking, but it tore apart. And yeah, I remember feeling this heavy sorrow. These are very intense words, but you know those heartaches where it feels like your chest is aching and it feels like there's an elephant sitting on top of your chest, and it's like sometimes you can't breathe. And that was how it was. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know what to do, and I feel like in many ways I made some mistakes, and I learned, which is why I'm giving you this video, right? So if you're watching this video, it means that you probably have been, you're probably heartbroken. You're probably in a place you're trying to move on. You're probably I don't know where you are, honestly, but I'm glad that you clicked this video. So number one thing that you must do is to treat yourself with grace. I say this all the time, and I feel like it's starting to become my national anthem. Treat yourself with grace. Cut yourself some slack. I remember feeling ashamed of the feelings that I was feeling. This is so funny, but I remember feeling, why am I feeling this so deeply? So sometimes I would wait till in the night to cry. I wasn't, talking to anybody because I was so ashamed of how I was feeling. I was like, is it not just heartbreak? Why is he scattering me like this? But it was tearing me apart, and I was so ashamed of how I was feeling that I was really hard on myself, right? I blamed myself and all that. Many things, but what I'm trying to say is treat yourself with grace. Number two is feel all that you are feeling. Don't ignore it. Don't deny it. Don't throw it away. Don't hard guy it up. Feel it. Feel it in its entirety. Sometimes when we're hurt, sometimes when we're in really bad places, you start to feel like, if I don't, I remember for me, I held on to this feeling because I held on to the feeling that I was feeling because I was afraid of what would happen to me if I let it go. Like the anger I was feeling, I held on to it. I held on to all these things because I felt like if I didn't let go of what I was feeling, I felt like if I let go of what I was feeling at the time, I was afraid that I would fall apart. I felt like if I gave in to the extent of how I was feeling, I felt like I wouldn't stand up straight. I felt like I would crumble, and I didn't want to crumble because at the time, I was working, I had things to do, and I was scared of falling apart. And because I was scared, I tried to hold it together. I tried to say, "River, you're fine," talk myself into it. I wasn't allowing myself feel. And then I remember this one day I was in a cab and I was going home and I just broke down. I broke down. I started crying uncontrollably. It was so embarrassing because it wasn't like only me in the cab. It was, in Abuja, we call it like along. And so I was in a cab with other people and I couldn't stop crying. I just would not stop crying. And that happened to me. That meltdown happened to me because it was months of accumulated hurt, and I wasn't feeling what I was feeling. I was pretending like I was okay. I was trying to feel like I was strong. I was trying to say like, this doesn't bother me. I'm bigger than this. But I wasn't bigger than it. And it was eating me up and I was swallowing it. And I think my healing didn't really start till I started to feel what I was feeling. And so yes, it will hurt like hell. Yes, your chest will constrict, but you need to feel it. Feel it all. Feel the hurt. Cry if you have to. Cry and cry and cry. But the most amazing thing is when you're done crying, when you're done, you pick yourself up, right? Number three, and I should have mentioned this when I said treat yourself with grace, but number three is these things take time. There is no standard amount of time to heal. And so I remember at that time, it had been months. And I was feeling, oh my God, other people have got it. It's only me that has broken up in life. Can I just move on? And I even had, it was subconscious, but people around me were giving me the, and I don't think they were trying to give me, but it was like, you're still heartbroken. Like if I say, oh, why are you so, subconsciously you want to try to fasten it up. Subconsciously you want to try to do better. Subconsciously you want to try to hasten it. And yeah, it differs for everybody. Some people take 2 months, some people take 1 month, some people take 2 days. I know people that in 1 week they moved on. I don't know, but there are people like that. But if it's taking months for you, if it's taking a while for you, allow it. Understand that healing is a journey. I say journey a lot, but healing, it's a process. You're walking through it, and you will get through it. But you have to give yourself some time. There was a time when I would have like close to a month, 2 months, and I felt like I was doing better. I felt like there was progress, and then one day I would see something that would absolutely get to me, and I'd cry, and I'll be like, bruh, I thought I was over this. But it helped me to understand that these things sometimes take time, and it's okay if it takes time. It's okay if it's taking you a while to get through it, it's actually okay, it's fine. And so yeah, give yourself time to heal. Number 4, it's not a competition. When you break up with somebody, right, there's this spirit that comes upon you that now starts to tell you, like, is who is happier. I don't know if that makes any sense. So especially if the person that you broke up with is within your vicinity, you want to prove that I moved on too. You want to prove that, yo, I'm happier than you. You want to prove that I'm the first to move on. Lori, you are the number 1. You're the fastest. You move on quick. Understand there's no competition, honestly. It's not who moved on first. It's not who loved who less. Sometimes the person who moves on first is not even who loved less. Sometimes none of you loved less. Especially if the reasons why people broke up were things that hurt you a lot. You want to prove that you're over it. Sometimes you see the person that you broke up with and they're stunting and you're like, how are you okay? I'm falling apart. But you don't know what's going on in another person's mind. And truth is, they might actually even be okay. And it doesn't matter. Truth is, they might actually not be okay. It also doesn't matter, right? It's not a competition. It's not a who moves on first. So you don't have to, don't settle for nonsense tactics like trying to make the other person jealous. You're not okay and you want to prove that you're okay, and so you're hanging out with people that you don't even want. What's going to happen is you're going to hurt innocent people in the process. And this is me moving on to rebounds. I don't subscribe to rebounds. Why? Because you're going to hurt innocent people. Again, I said I made a lot of mistakes. But you're going to really hurt innocent people in the process because you're trying to prove a point and you're trying to prove that you can move on. But you're not giving your all to this new person because you're not whole in that moment. And you want to be whole. You want to give all of you to this new person. And so, you know, take your time. Pace yourself. Right? And which brings me to the point of you now want to see how is the other person doing. So you now find yourself stalking them. You're stalking their social media. You're stalking their friends. You're trying to know, have they moved on? Who are they with? Is the person finer than me? Is the person greater than me? Are they happy? And I feel like all of that is really unnecessary, and you don't need any of that. Honestly, you are better off without any of that. Yes, the desire will come to do that. Once you will wake up one morning and your whole body is going to tell you, carry your phone, find them, stalk them. When that happens to you, tell the thing that I'm not doing it. Fight it. Don't give in, because what will happen is you will end up hurt. So let's look at it. You go through their page. Okay, you see that they're happy. What happens?
Charlie! Wala deal.
You know, you see that they're happy.
Wala deal.
Then you now get sad because you're not there yet. Or you see that they moved on.
Yeah, Mugbe.
Then, or you see that they are not happy. Why should another person's unhappiness make you happy? Do you understand where I'm coming from? So you don't need any of these. Like, honestly, you don't need to stalk them. You don't need to. It will. When I'm saying this, I know that it sounds like, oh, you're saying it is beans, and I know it's hard, but do what you need to do. Which brings me to point number 5. Is it 5 we are? 5, 6, whatever number. Which brings me to my next point. Distance yourself. You need space in the beginning. I've had this argument a couple of times. People believe, can you be friends with your exes? Probably yes. But I also very much believe in the power of non-communication, in the sense that I say this thing all the time, that intimacy is formed by constant communication, constant in your face, right? And so this person has become a part of you. This person is ingrained in your heart. This person is ingrained in your life. One of the best ways to get over it is to one of the best ways to get over it really is to, I forgot what I wanted to say, is to withdraw. Give yourself some space. Cut yourself some slack, right? Why am I saying cut yourself some slack? Give yourself some space. And for me, at the time, it was unhealthy for me because I was constantly going. And so what I did, I blocked. I don't recommend this, right? But I had to block the person on a couple of medias. But then I went back because I wasn't feeling too great about blocking them. I muted them. Some of you will have to block. Block if you have to block. Mute if you have to mute. Distance yourself if you have to. But you need your mind needs that time to breathe. You need that time away from them to figure out what you're feeling, how you're feeling, to find your balance, really. Eventually, now I and the person kind of talk. Talk somehow. Not as often as we used to before, but like, I mean, there's no bad blood, there's no, oh, I don't want to, there's none of that. But I mean, in the immediate moment, I needed that space. You need that calibration, that I don't want to be in your space kind of thing. At the time, it was hard because we're going to the same church, and so I'd have to see this person, almost every time, and it was really hard. But to the best of my ability, I started to withdraw. Sometimes you break up with somebody and you say, oh, I want to still be friends in that moment. But what's happening is you're keeping your hope up. And so you realize that you're talking to this person and your feelings for this person are still very much alive. And then one day the person tells you, oh, I'm moving on. You now start feeling tightness in your chest that was not even supposed to be there in the first place. Why? Because a part of you still held out hope. A part of you still held out a touch. I don't think that you should still be like really tight in the first 2 weeks after the breakup. Give it at least minimum. Give it at least 2 weeks. Distance yourself. Don't flood yourself with thoughts, pictures, images of the person. Whatever works for you, everybody has their method that works, right? So what I'm saying is not a fix all, but these are some of the things that helped me. That being said, to the very next thing, it's very important that you forgive not just the person, but you forgive yourself. And I say this as somebody who is very much a Jesus lover, right? I struggled with feelings of forgiveness and hatred. Hatred is strong. Dislike, very strong. There was resentment, there was bitterness. I was struggling with so much at the time, and it was hard to forgive. And I remember crying and saying, God, will this ever end? And I remember the Holy Spirit telling me, you have to release them from in your heart. And I was scared because when you release them, you don't know what you're going to feel. You don't know, like, the only thing you're used to at this point is you've only been on either extremes with this person. You've only loved this person, and then now you really cannot stand this person. And sometimes it's possible to really love somebody and really hate them at the same time. And so there are these extremes fighting in your heart, and you're scared, if I give this up, what is going to be left? What am I going to feel? And it's scary, but you have to release it. And one of the most effective ways to release it is what? Pray for them. Pray for them. It works, I promise you. I remember the first time I prayed, I think I've said this before, but I remember the first time I prayed, I cried my eyes out. I was fighting myself. My mind did not believe it, but I did it. The second day, it was still hard. And then I think over time, it just got less hard. And it got easier for me to pray for them and say, God, I've released, this is how I'm feeling, I've released it. But then I pray for them, God. And what do you say in your prayer? I said things like, bless him, be there for him if he's hurting. Be with him if he's in his endeavor. Pray for his family. Pray for how he was doing. Because ultimately, unforgiveness will finish your life. Unforgiveness is going to finish you. And you don't want that. You really don't want to be that person that is holding on years after. You're still doing... You get into a new relationship and it's to prove to your ex. You don't want to be that person, right? You want to be the bigger person, right? A bigger person, not for show. Bigger person as per you want it to be that when you move on, you've really moved on. And so it was a long and arduous process for me. I went through it all: resentment, anger, dislike, learning to love myself again, because it was very one kind process. And I feel like this video has gotten long and I want to shorten it, but ultimately, last but not the least, you have to when stuff like this happens to you, what happens is your guard comes up and you want to say things like, I don't want to love again. That was me. I said, I didn't want to marry. Now, see who is engaged. But I was like, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to fall in love. I'm not going to, I was like, I didn't want to do any of that. But I remember the Holy Spirit saying to me, like, I don't want you to put your guard up too much, that you block yourself from feeling any other thing. And what happens when you guard up is that even though you can't feel joy or sadness, even though you can't feel the hurt, like padlocking your heart now. So you're padlocking your heart so you don't feel hurt, but then you're not open to joy, you're not open to laughter, and you don't want that. And so it was me saying, okay, you know what? I'm not actively looking for anything, but I am open to it. And that took a lot of courage for me. And I'll speak these words over myself every morning, and I'll say things like, God, this is where I am, and this is what it is. And it's hard though, but if you say this, then I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you till the very end. And yes, so I'm just going to go over everything I said. Yeah. So don't try to, it's not a competition. It's not a race. It's not first to finish. Treat yourself with grace. Cut yourself some slack. What else did I say? And yes, pray for them, release them, allow it happen. But most importantly, understand that this thing is a journey, and healing is not a one-day thing. And sometimes there will be good days and there will be bad days, and there will be days that are really bad, and there will be days where you just want to cry. And oh my God, most importantly, talk to somebody about it. You need to talk to somebody. Talk to somebody about it. A friend, a family, somebody trusted. You need to open up, because man was not made to bottle up things. And when you start to bottle up things, you start to get really hurtful. Talk to somebody about it. Also, try not to, when you're heartbroken, you want to backlash them. You want to say bad things about them. You want to say they're the horrible person, and you want to defame them everywhere because they hurt you. But honestly, it's not necessary, because to what end? When you tell people all these things, okay, to what end? So ask yourself, everything you're doing, why am I doing what I'm doing? How am I feeling? How am I doing? Remember, it's not a race. It's not a competition. You'll get through this. So I'm just going to say a quick prayer for anybody who is going through a very hard period in their life right now. Father, I pray, Daddy, I ask, oh God, that you comfort them. Father, I ask, oh God, that you be their guide, you be their shield. Father, Lord, I ask, oh God, that as they listen to the sound of my voice right now, that your warm embrace goes and wraps them, oh God. Father, they know that they are loved and continuously loved by you. Father, show them that you have so much more in store for them, and that this too will pass. We love you, God. Thank you, Jesus. In Jesus' name, we have prayed. Amen. I hope you like watching my video. You know what to do. Subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell another friend. Tell all their combined friends to subscribe. And yeah, love and light.